Hello YouTube, this is the Magnum924 here, and this is my review of Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Now, since it's been about a week since the movie came out, this will be spoiler-filled. I'm assuming that everyone who wanted to see the movie blind has already seen it, so I'm assuming if you haven't seen the movie, you're here just to get another opinion before you actually see it. And boy, do I have a lot of opinions. Now, just straight off the bat, I cannot in good conscience call this movie a good movie. There are a lot of good elements. There are a lot of not so good elements. And there are a lot of downright just terrible elements. So, I'll start with the good. So, the thing I took away from this movie is that everyone who was complaining about Ben Affleck being a terrible Batman, they were downright wrong. This Batman in this movie is honestly the best Batman we'll probably ever get. Period. Definitely the best one we've gotten so far. Now, during the movie, I was trying to pinpoint exactly why I like this Batman so much. And after the movie, I kind of figured out why. See, every Batman up until this point has done a really good job at either playing a really good Batman or a really good Bruce Wayne. The creators of the character, especially in like Silver Age and up, really wanted Batman and Bruce Wayne to be very different characters. Played by the same person, but very different characters. And I felt like Ben Affleck nailed that perfectly. See, the way that Batman has especially been portrayed lately is that Batman sees Bruce Wayne as a mask for Batman, not the other way around. And that definitely came with age as the comics went on, which is why I'm glad they casted an older Batman. That way they could portray that perfectly. Now, just an example of this. When Batman went to the party that Lex Luthor was holding, he went there as Bruce Wayne, but he went there in Batman mode. He was still talking to Alfred. He was still thinking of a plan. He was there to get the data from Lex Luthor. So he went there in Batman mode. But when he had to talk to people or interact with Superman or whatever, he just switched into Bruce Wayne. He wasn't Bruce Wayne and switched into Batman. He was Batman and switched into Bruce Wayne. And just the way he acted, I felt like he nailed the rich boy, playboy, he nailed Bruce Wayne perfectly. Which is one thing I can't entirely say for all the other Batman. Now, with Michael Keaton, I would say that he played a really good Batman. He played a very interesting Bruce Wayne, but he only really played one aspect of Bruce Wayne. He played the more reclusive and mysterious Bruce Wayne that no one really knew about. That is technically canon, but I felt like this Batman really, really did a good job at showing every aspect of Batman. Now, one previous Batman that did a really good job at doing Bruce Wayne, but not so good at Batman, was Christian Bale. I never exactly bought that he was Batman. I really enjoyed Christian Bale's portrayal of Bruce Wayne. He really played up the playboy billionaire confidence that Bruce Wayne is supposed to have. The really outgoing, I know I'm rich, I can do whatever I want. That type of Bruce Wayne. I really liked his interpretation of that character. But his Batman, I don't know, I just didn't really feel it. Even Val Kilmer and George Clooney did really good, did really good Bruce Waynes, but especially George Clooney, they were not good Batman. This, Ben Affleck's Batman, I felt, did a really good job at portraying every aspect of Batman, Bruce Wayne and Batman. And speaking on the Batman part, the action scenes involving Batman were perfect. One thing I was complaining about in one of my previous videos about why are live action movies considered so much better than animation superhero movies. One of my complaints was that you just can't really portray Batman, especially, in a way to show off his skills like you can in an animated movie. You can't really show him flipping around, breaking people's necks, and like just doing these different things. But I was apparently wrong, because this Batman was amazing. He did all the moves from the games, from the comics, from the animation, just basically to take the Arkham Knight Batman, or even the Batman from the animated series, and to put it into a movie. That's what I saw. He was very brutal. He used his environment to his advantage. It was insane. I loved every part that Batman was in. Not necessarily every part that Bruce Wayne was in. There is a difference, but like every part that when he had the cape and cowl on, those parts of the movie were perfect. Now, going on to another character that I felt they portrayed pretty much perfectly, Wonder Woman. Now, going to this movie, I was a bit skeptical of why Wonder Woman was in this movie to begin with. Now, the reason, of course, is because they had to fight Doomsday in the end for some reason, but I'll get on into that later. But I ended up really, really liking this Wonder Woman. She looked the part. The costume I felt was fine. I didn't really like it at first because of the duller colors, but I think it worked in this universe. And just one thing I loved about her is that whenever you see Wonder Woman come into the Justice League in the comics or in the animated series, you generally see her coming right out of Themyscira. She hasn't had any interaction with any of these heroes before, no interaction with any other real people before outside of her island. So you got a very fresh Wonder Woman. She is experienced, but not as experienced as like a fighter who's been around for generations, like this Wonder Woman in the movie. And she definitely wouldn't be as socially experienced as this Wonder Woman. This Wonder Woman in Batman v Superman was very confident in her social skills, and especially confident in her battle skills. One thing I loved about this Wonder Woman is that when she was fighting Doomsday, she was getting smacked around, thrown, just the whole nine. But whenever she was thrown or got any damage at all, she would just smirk, laugh it off, pick up her sword, and jump back in. That's the Wonder Woman I want to see. And that's what I saw. I am so looking forward to a Wonder Woman standalone movie. I think it's coming out next year. She was so good. And another thing I really liked about this movie is Alfred. I felt like I think the Alfred in the Michael Keaton movies, and even the other two in the Burtonverse, I think that's the perfect Alfred. But this Alfred in Batman v Superman, Jeremy Irons, I felt like he portrayed the character really well. He was definitely very hands-on. His interaction with Bruce Wayne felt very natural. They felt like Bruce Wayne and Alfred would interact. I just felt like they picked a very good actor to play his character. My only one gripe is that I felt like, considering how this Batman is a little older, I kind of wish they had picked a slightly older actor, because in the comics, at this point, when they do have an older Batman, Alfred's like 80 plus, maybe even 90. He can barely even move. But in this, Alfred's like 70 something. I know Jeremy Irons like 69 or something like that, but still, like, I wish they had picked a slightly older Alfred just to make it a little more realistic. But it was fine. It was fine. The way Jeremy Irons did this Alfred was pretty much perfect. Now, I've never been a big fan of Michael Caine's Alfred. I just felt like he went a little too heavy on the mentor aspect, not the friend to Batman aspect. This Alfred, the Batman v Superman Alfred, I felt had a very good mixture of the mentor, the friend, the butler, just the helping in the field, just all of that. I felt like he was perfect in every aspect, at least almost perfect. And the last thing that I felt was really, really good about this movie was the action. Like I've already said, the Batman action scenes were pretty much perfect. The Batman v Superman fight, oh man, it was pretty short. I will admit, it was kind of short, but what we got was really, really good. I liked how Batman set up those traps at the beginning. I just liked all the gadgets he used to his advantage. I actually kind of liked I felt like him fighting Superman in that situation felt very realistic. One thing I didn't like is that since it was so short, I didn't really understand why he shot back Superman twice with the kryptonite bomb thing. I felt like that was just a bit too much. I feel like they should have fought a little more, and then he does the kryptonite bomb once, and then that was the end of the fight. Now I kind of get why they didn't, because the Superman busters, for lack of a better word, his armor, it didn't give him enhanced strength like it did in the comics, but I felt like, that makes sense. Like, I mean, it's real. I guess that's more realistic than how it is in the comics, but still, if they had given the bat suit, the bat armor, all the properties that is in the comics, then I feel like they could have made the fight last a little bit longer, and he wouldn't have to rely so heavily on the kryptonite bomb like he did. But other than that, the fight was really good, and the ending was one thing I actually noticed earlier on in the movie is that both Batman and Superman's mothers are both named Martha. I just kind of noticed that. And then when that actually came into play when they were fighting, I felt that was really good. I really liked that. And also the Doomsday fight, for how short it was, I actually really enjoyed it. I found it kind of funny that Zack Snyder basically foresaw that people would complain about just destruction and death everywhere. So he put a part in the movie that one of the reporters says, it's that no one's in this area now, so there'll be no casualties. Like, okay, whatever. I'm sure no one died in the making of that fight, but whatever. Yeah, as far as the fight itself goes, for how short it was was pretty good. I feel like Doomsday overall was a kind of wasted character. I don't feel like he needed to be in this movie. I feel like Batman and Superman could have resolved their differences on a different issue. I can't really think of what issue right now, but it definitely didn't have to be Doomsday.